Welcome to Business Coaching Secrets with Karl Bryan. If you want to attract new high-end coaching clients, fill live events, and build a wildly profitable coaching practice where business owners pay, stay, and refer, you've come to the right place. In this podcast, Karl provides his keys to the kingdom for finding and signing high-paying clients and building the coaching business of your dreams. Here we go.
Hey everybody, welcome to another episode of Business Coaching Secrets. It's your boy Road Dogg here with the man of the hour, the king himself. Dr. Karl Bryan's back in the house and he's ready to fill your prescription. How's that? You like that?
Road Dogg, you've been practicing that, Shoots. Well, you've referred to me as doctor a few times here. You're trying to it's becoming a thing, Shoots. Becoming a thing.
Well, you know what? What I should be saying is the crypto master himself, the NFT specialist. How's that? Like that's probably, it's so funny because for a while there, it's like, that's all we got. Like so many people asking you about crypto and NFTs and holy smokes. Like I look at that game, dude, and I'm like, I'm intimidated. Like the ups and downs. If the average person can't stomach the stock market, I don't know how they're doing it in crypto. Like that world is insane. But
bumpy road, Shoots. You got to manage your psychology if you're going to play that game. That's all I can say. So.
Well, what a segue. Speaking of psychology, see what I did there? It's like I had a leading question going into exactly right where I wanted to place you. Jeez.
Oh, well done.
All right, first question that came in. And I'm not sure if it's a question that you wrote yourself because it starts with I'm confident. And if it's one thing I know about Karl Bryan, he is one confident man. I'm confident and just want to kick it up a gear. What is your best hack for accelerating success? This should be a beauty. I can't wait to hear what you have to say about this.
All right, Shoots. Okay, so I'm confident. Want to kick it up a gear, accelerating. Okay, so look, I built profit acceleration software and digital acceleration software with this in mind, right? So business coaches accelerating, like much like it takes 3 years to hit $1 million for the average business owner, and then it takes 5 years to get to 2 million. I've talked about it the last few times, but like buying a business may be a better option than starting a business because you kind of bunny hop that danger zone of failure, which is 5 years and getting to 2 million, right? So, like bunny hopping that might not be a bad idea, but think acceleration, just take your goals and multiply them by 20, and then take your action and multiply them by 20. Maybe Tony Robbins would refer to that as massive action, right? But when you combine those two things, you're going to have 400 times the opportunities, right? Like, and then of course, when you do it, like you jack up your goals and your action by 20, and then magically, good things start to happen. Everybody refers to it as luck, right? Like you kind of become that Ferrari at the speed light where everybody kind of speeds up to get a little bit closer to see who's driving and, weigh up whatever it is that they're weighing up. But we've all seen that, right? No doubt it's a 101. So think about it. Like Warren Buffett, he reads hundreds and hundreds of financial reports. And then the competition plays follow the leader with them, and they pretend like they're reading the reports, right? The same way that the idiots on your Facebook feed will say they're doing their research, and really all they're doing is they heard somebody who they perceive to be quote unquote smart, say something that reinforce something that they previously already thought, right? Then cognitive dissonance. And then they call it research, right? So we talked about that. Everybody knows what we're talking about. It's crazy. But so back to the point, magically, Warren Buffett is the lucky one after reading hundreds and hundreds of reports. Or like Kobe Bryant trained 3 times a day and is amongst, the most dedicated individuals of all time. And, was he lucky to have a Hall of Fame basketball career? And speaking of luck and acceleration, like did business opportunities follow Kobe outside of basketball? Depending upon how much you know about it, but let me tell you, it's a resounding yes. He was well on his way to becoming the next Magic Johnson, the next Michael Jordan of the business world, as in like I'd be amazed if he wasn't going to, become a billionaire one day. It would have taken him quite a while, and he would, had his feet up against the He had to get his airplane up into the air, but he was well and truly on his way, and he would have done insanely well just by virtue of his personality. And again, Michael Jordan did, Shaq did, Wayne Gretzky, Magic Johnson. Opportunities followed him. Again, so it's not about being lucky. It's about having that 400, multiplying their success by 400 by kind of 20xing their action, right? Like Warren Buffett studies financial reports, and like how many over the past week, okay, forget Warren Buffett, right? Forget Gretzky, Magic Johnson, Kobe. Like how much time have you spent over the last week studying local business owners, studying the local business climate, studying and researching local business events that are going on or coming up or that have gone in the past, and who is in charge of them? Thinking of ways to help the local community or the individual members of it, like, the chiropractor, the physiotherapist, the landscaper, looking through Facebook pages and LinkedIn profiles for like ideal prospects that you could serve, and doing this all for free, right? Like again, before you get paid, you're doing all of this homework, or planning your next event where you're going to serve people at the highest level. Like the more action you take, the more luck that you're going to have. Look, when you ride a bike, Road Dog, right? Like when you have a little bit of momentum, it's actually way easier to ride, right? So like that's what acceleration does for you. And also remember, complementary to that, and Road Dog, you and I had a laugh over a beer over this one, but like speed also kills, right? So there's a balance there of too much speed too quick, right? Like you're better to fall off a tricycle than crash an F1 Ferrari when you first get going, right? So if you suck at public speaking, don't put 100 people, like forget people, put 100 ideal prospects in your first seminar. Because what you're really possibly doing, I don't know, depending upon how well you do at your first event. But if you're like most of us, it's something you get better at over time. You might have just lit 100 ideal, prospects / leads on fire, right? Because you weren't ready for it. You were kind of doing the F1 thing when you should have been doing the tricycle thing with 8 or 9 people. Right? You can't accelerate a baby by getting 9 women pregnant in a month, right? You can't speed up the growth of a plant by watering it 3 times a day. What you do is you end up killing it. So, I don't know, acceleration, it just says fear is something that you should run to rather than away from. That's what I'd say. If you're not feeling fear, you're probably in your comfort zone, and then I'll let you decide whether that's where you should reside, because massive success resides outside your comfort zone. You get a sense like Michael Jordan, Kobe Bryant, they put themselves in a position to fail consistently. And by the way, they did, but they also succeeded a lot of the time. And that's why we think of them as an all-time great, right? So for you, forget them. What about you? Like your first podcast, you talk about it, it'll be a good idea. We get a higher caliber of lead from the podcast than we do with a lot of our other marketing channels. So will you, okay? Because the person who's listening to a podcast is just a higher quality individual. Just trust me on that one. Your first YouTube video, when are you going to go and do it? Your first local live event, your first strategic phone call, your next strategic phone call. Your first joint venture if you haven't done them, or your next joint venture if you're already doing them, right? Like move to another country for a year and live on pesos while earning USD. I don't know. I know people that do that. We have clients that do that. You go to their Facebook profiles, they're living a great life and they're loving it, right? So you build strength and grow, into an accelerated business coach as you push the envelope and you push yourself. You know what I mean, Road Dog? Don't compete, dominate. That's one of the things we train. Like you think of a unique selling proposition, we train, it's something similar, but we call it a market dominating position, significantly more powerful. But think about dominating, right? Like, you shoot for the moon and end up in the stars. It's the tortoise and the hare. What about the hare with the consistency of a tortoise, right? That's how you crush the competition. But, steady Eddie as you're getting going. And again, don't jump in the F1 sports car before, when you should be on a tricycle. So just, that's just being strategic and a little bit intelligent. So I don't know. That's really kind of our profit acceleration approach. Just, put your pedal to the metal, in a strategic way. What do they say, Road Dog? Ready, fire, aim. I don't know how good of a job I'm doing on that, but somebody's looking to accelerate success. Just Ready, fire, aim. There you go. That's how I'm going to end it, bud. What do you think?
Ready, fire, aim also sounds like your hunting strategy. So there you are. Or should I say Dick Cheney's hunting strategy? Isn't that how it works? Hey, listen, there's another question that came in, and we hear this quite a bit. So, but I think it's a fabulous question, and I applaud whoever wrote this in for. I'm not going to name names here for asking it. So the question is, I want to be a great business coach, and I feel like it's my calling, but I spend an enormous amount of time stressed out over it.
Oh wow!
Is this normal, Karl? You and I both know it's normal. But yeah, like, do you want to address that head on a little bit there?
Yeah, I agree with you. High five. A bit of vulnerability there. Is that what we heard? But yeah, look, if you're stressed out, it's not for no reason. You got to just hit it head on. You're like, how are you meeting your needs would be like maybe a starting question. If you're stressed out, you can feel good by smoking a cigarette, right? In the moment, you can eat candy and feel great as you're eating it. Right? You can tell someone to go screw themselves and feel great about standing up for yourself, right? Have a couple of stiff drinks. Question, were those the right things to do, right? Like translation, there's a good chance your habits are crushing or what are they doing? They're crushing your ability to achieve the success that you want and deserve. Like as a framework, make sure you're satisfying your need to feel good and achieve your goals, like with positive habits, positive actions. Like place yourself in a place of strength rather than a place of fear and weakness. And I would dare say the alcohol, the candy, the cigarette would kind of represent weakness. Hit the gym and lift some weights the way Road Dogg does, right? Go for a walk, drink a green smoothie, call a friend, send a kind text, listen to an inspirational audio, video. If you're focusing on like being stressed, you start like think about being stressed, right? You feel tight. You're tight in your body. You're tight in your breath. Like you got a short breath, not deep breath, right? You start to use language like, I can't do this. I'm stressed. I'm overwhelmed. I don't know what to do. And that becomes your habit, right? And then it's reinforced. So consider this as a framework and reality check. The best way to get what you want out of life is to deserve what you want, right? So the best way to get what you want is to deserve what you want. So honest question, do your habits, just think of today, yesterday, last week, do your habits dictate that you deserve what you want, right? Like you want to be a 7-figure coach. Well, tell me how much research, like I said earlier, like how much research have you done around the local community? How much do you know about what's going on? Could you name me the last 3 business events? Could you tell me what's happening at the local chamber? So, and by the way, the answer may be no, but this is, start to create those positive habits. Like 3 things that you can control in any given moment. This is how I've started every business coaching mastery. Like we just got back from Cancun, right, with Business Coaching Mastery 6. 3 words, and I can summarize Tony Robbins' 5-hour seminar, and it's focus, meaning, do. What are you focusing on? Positive, negative. Good chance there's negative. What's the meaning? I'm a loser. I'm no good at this. I'm going to fail. As opposed to, I got this. I'm inspired. Makes me more hungry. And then what are you going to do? What's the action that you're taking? So focus, meaning, do. Pretty much always there'll be a sign in the room when I do an event, and it's always got that focus, meaning, and do. And then I'll refer to it at different times throughout the seminar. So like think about this, think of focus. Like if your shoulders are slumped, just picture somebody sitting in front of you. Maybe it's you. Your shoulders are slumped. Your breath is shallow. You're moving slowly. These are fundamental traits of a person suffering from, I'm going to call it depression in the moment. You don't have to be depressed. You don't have to have depression in order to feel and suffer from depression in the moment, right? And if your body's working like that, like you're going to, you know what I mean? You're not going to feel motivated. So your physiology dictates how you're going to go. So do the opposite. Stand up straight, breathe deeply, talk faster, talk with more, passion and maybe a stronger tempo. You'll be stronger immediately. And by the way, so will your decision. Like always make a hard decision from a position of strength versus weakness. Nobody's ever committed suicide from a place of strength. Ever. Not happening. Never. Right? It's like always from a place of weakness, right? And this is a topic near and dear to my heart. And and again, so as I say that, you know this, you're like, oh yeah, make a decision from a place of strength. Like, you know it. But my question is, are you doing it? Right? So like, people that are with you, like, loved ones, clients, like, they will gain strength from your strength. Am I saying that? Like, your physiology, your deep breathing, your, if you stand in a strong way and talk from a place of passion, you're going to become infectious and become infectious in a great way. You can become infectious in a bad way. We've all sat with somebody who's like bitching and moaning, and then it's like, oh, you think that's bad. You got no idea what my loved one did to me, that kind of thing. Like, and then, so how do you do it? How do you become infectious in like a positive way to your client, your prospects, I don't know, your joint venture, your network, talking about things that they're passionate about. What means, like, what are they passionate about? What means something to them, right? Their business, their family, their clients. Get them to move maybe in a radically different way. Maybe like when you're coaching somebody and you feel like they're not in the right headspace, say, grab your cell phone. I'm calling you back. You're going for a walk. And you and I are going to do this coaching call, but you're going to be walking. And by the way, if hopefully you'll put on your ear dealios, and I want you to be swinging your arms and just go somewhere where that's not going to look really weird. And by the way, who cares what people are thinking? When you coach somebody from that position, from like when they're walking and they're stronger, believe me, they're going to be more resourceful. Their physiology is going to be stronger. So therefore they're not going to feel overwhelmed. It's going to be like this infectious, wow, I feel great. This is good. They're going to be in a strong position. So they'll make strong decisions, I guess. Right. And by the way, here's an insanely profitable hack. Like right now, stand in a power posture, right? So just picture Superman or Superwoman, right? So hands on hip, chest up. Literally right now, as you're listening to me, I challenge you to do this. Stand up, put your hands on your hips, Superman, right? And then like imagine I have a string in the middle of your upper chest, and then I pull it up straight up towards the roof, right? Like a string came up, your shoulders are back, your chest is up, your head is held high. Again, you're standing like Superman or Superwoman, like that pose. Do it for 20 seconds and watch what happens. There's a Harvard study. If you put yourself in this posture for 90 seconds, your testosterone will increase. I don't know the exact number, but like 30% in 90 seconds. And it also, to complement that, it reduces cortisol, which is basically the stress hormone, by like 25%. So you get like close to a 50% improvement by just standing in that position. Like when I call improvement, I'll say like taking yourself to a stronger position, right? If you do this, if your clients do this, they'll 100% more likely chance of taking action and ultimately this is where confidence comes from. This is how you're infectious, by getting them to do this. And by the way, doing it yourself as you're telling them to do it. Watch, just don't listen to what I'm saying, experiment with it, do it with a loved one, and you'll be amazed. Like where your body goes, your mind will follow, right? Or where your mind, and then the opposite, right? Where your mind goes. Actually, no, hang on. Where your body goes, so think physiology, your mind will follow. Like my daughter, right? Like I teach her how to do a backflip in the pool. Of course, then she says, Daddy, I've seen you do a backflip and it doesn't work for you. So this is such a good technique. How come your backflip looks like hell? But anyways, it's more like a backwards face plant. But anywho, more to the point. Okay, so I'm teaching her to do a backflip. And I show her, like, her body will follow her eyes with 100% certainty. It'll do it for you. It'll do it for Road Dogg. It'll do it for anybody, right? So your body will follow your eyes. So I'm like, if you're doing a backflip, most people are thinking like throw your legs over your head, right? That's the wrong way to do it. Throw your head back and your legs will automatically follow, right? So anyways, and my daughter making fun of my backflip is rather humorous. But anyway, so like it's the same. So when you lead your body, and normally what we'd be thinking is the opposite. When you're in your head, you're behind enemy lines. I want you to be thinking about that. You got to get out of your head. So when you adjust your physiology, you can really take yourself mentally to a significantly more confident and purposeful place. And I would imagine that's, ultimately what we're looking for. And also watch, like, change your body, but also your language patterns. And like, I don't know, the world can become a significantly easier place really, really quickly, almost like magic. And the problem is, nothing I'm saying here is world conquering, right? If you're a business coach, you're a coach of any salt, you've heard this, you've thought about this, you could come up with it yourself. The problem is knowing and doing. I would challenge you that you know it, but you're not doing it. It's like goal setting. Everybody tells me they know goal setting, and I say, show me your goals. They don't have them. Everybody tells me they know time management. They know 80-20. I show me your calendar, and it's not there, right? So you know and do. You got to change that around. You got to accept that you don't know things that you're not doing, and really challenge yourself and push yourself. So, create new habits within yourself, and you won't need to do it as much. Like, it'll become routine, right? And remember, your brain is designed to protect you, like to survive. So it's the opposite of success. So you got to train it. You actually have to retrain it, by the way. The same way, like, an athlete is physically fit, nothing about that comes naturally, right? Like, it's a lot of hard work, a lot of conditioning daily over, in many cases, many years, a little stronger each day. Well, you can train your mind to be emotionally fit also. And like, where focus goes, energy flows. Again, we know that. You've heard it. My question is, are you channeling your focus? Are you super conscious with where you're allowing it to go? And just think positive or negative. It's impossible to have a positive and a negative thought at the same time. You can only have a positive or a negative. So if you consciously concentrate on having a positive focus, you'll immediately, instantly, and magically forgo the negative, right? So focus on growth, focus on positive, focus on the opportunities that COVID brings, focus on the opportunity that you have locally. Concentrate on what's amazing. Get curious over judgmental. That right there is a psychology hack on steroids. Whenever you're going to get judgmental, like, oh, they don't, that person XYZ, that person, let's just go anti-vax or some political dealio. You read it, it triggers you. Instead of getting judgmental, oh, this guy, he doesn't do any research. He just pretends like he's doing research. Get curious about what might put him in that position. Like, maybe there's somebody really, really close to him that died 2 weeks after getting the vax. Okay. That might change the way that you see that individual, make you a little bit more empathetic, a little bit more, sympathetic. Bottom line, where you would normally get judgmental, and believe me, you're judgmental, I'm judgmental, Road Dogg's judgmental, Tony Robbins is judgmental. It's impossible not to. The question is how far you'll take it, right? Can you pull yourself up? So change judgment to curiosity, and I really think that could be a superpower. And by the way, when the most judgmental people are the people that are the most scared of being judged themselves, right? So, like, by the way, this is be cautious with that one. Rather than be judgmental, be curious. And again, to accelerate all this, you need a plan, you need a roadmap. You don't need hopes and dreams and this big, oh, here's what I'm going to do one day. Platitude. You need a proven roadmap. You want to put 10 people in the room on Tuesday at the chamber. Show me the list of business owners' names, their phone numbers, their email address, their LinkedIn profile, and their Facebook profile on a Google Doc or a spreadsheet. That will tell me if it's actually going to happen, right? Like, show me your roadmap, show me your system, show me the community that you hang out with. That's one thing we do big time here. We've got a community where everybody's pushing one another, right? So anyway, so that's Road Dog. I don't know. That's what I would say around.
Hang on a second, Karl. You mentioned accelerate there, and I would say, I don't know if you agree with me here, but the biggest accelerant is momentum. Like, it's critical. Wouldn't you agree with that?
I high five, man. Absolutely. The worst part of starting over is starting over, right? So momentum, absolutely. Well, I mean,
what's that? Sorry, we lost you there for a second.
Look,
all right. Anything else you want to go on when it comes to there's just this is such a hot topic, right? When it comes to creating and building momentum, when it comes to starting over and over again, because that is the hardest part.
Yeah.
Like, do you have any other thoughts on that? Because
momentum. Look, momentum probably my favorite word in the whole world, by the way. Over the last few weeks, we've mentioned this again, like, should you buy a business or should you start a business? One of the reasons why you want to seriously consider starting it is the bunny hop, that danger zone I talked about earlier, right? It's like, again, the reason I built profit acceleration software, kind of think for a business coach to kind of bunny hop that, quote unquote, the initial getting going period, like, what do I do? What's my plan, etc. So, look, what makes a business go is momentum. When you ride a bike, again, it's easier to go. It's easier if you've got momentum. You can literally let your hands off the handlebars. What makes an athlete win? It's momentum, right? Whether you're Michael Phelps or the guy that comes in eighth. What makes a sport team win? The Super Bowl, the Stanley Cup, the World Series, the PGA Championship. Again, it's momentum. Road dog, like momentum, it takes a crazy amount of energy to get the plane off the ground, right? But once at cruising altitude, you can turn off the engines and you'll go for a long time, right? So like action, talked about a little bit earlier, but like action creates momentum. And then lack of momentum, by the way, what does that do? That creates overwhelm. That's when when does a bike crash? With lack of momentum. That's when you fall off the bike. It's the exact same with your business. Like, once you get started, like you start working out, it's a habit, right? You start to eat right and you got the, kale and you're having smoothies, becomes easy. You're starting a business. The difficult thing is putting your shingle out, and getting the website up. Once you've got that, again, you got a little bit of momentum. You start making the calls for the event. The hardest thing is to make that first call, right? Or, like getting a list of high-end, like, not getting a list of high-end clients, but getting a list of high-end prospects together. Again, I would say like that road dog would bring you momentum all day long and twice on Sundays. Like if you want to go for a run like road dog, you do marathons. Where you started, you had to put on your damn shoes and walk out the door, right? Like no one's ever gone for a walk and said, gee, I wish I never went for a walk, right? It just doesn't happen. But the thing is, nobody goes for a walk around the block. They plan it. And then they end up going significantly further, right? And by the way, if you're the person that struggles to jog, you'll get the most out of it. If you're the person that struggles to meditate, like me, you'll get the most out of it. If you struggle to go to the gym, again, you'll get the most out of it. It's ironic how that works. If you're the kind of person that doesn't like to spend time on your own, you'll get the most value spending time on your own. If you think like a 3-day silent retreat is just too much, there's just no way, that solitude will be the greatest blessing ever. Like you'll get more than the person that is excited to go to the silent retreat. You'll both get lots out of it, but the person, most, kind of hesitant for it will get the most out of it. Right. And like, where do you need momentum? Right. Like where are you currently creating momentum, or do you have it? Right. Like, and where do your clients need it, by the way? It's not just about us, but obviously as business coaches, we don't want to just learn this stuff. We want to pass it on, right? So the other side of the coin, like we have an ex-professional football player. He's a wicked client of ours, Super Bowl champion, multiple-time Pro Bowler. He literally said on stage at Business Coaching Mastery in Mexico, and Jason, one of our guys put this up in the Facebook group, and Jason's the guy who sold his business for multiple 7 figures, literally while we were there in Mexico. And he said something to the effect of, Karl took this away from me. It was a picture of like Satan coming for him. And he was like, what he meant by that, and I'm not in any way trying to pat myself on the back, like this is right there in our private Facebook group. What he meant was like the lights went down in his football career. And, it wasn't, I don't know, you tell me, walking out in front of 50,000 people cheering, winning a Super Bowl and all that, like you literally have water squirted in your mouth when you need it, as opposed to having to do it on your own, somebody tying your damn shoes. Well, now as a rock star business coach, on stages and helping people, he got a little bit of that. That's what he'll tell you, right? He got a little bit of that limelight back. And more importantly, massive self-worth. That's one of the beauties of being a business coach. You can make a great living, and, it's pretty cool to be the guy at the chamber, the local business, kind of guru. But really the magic is the ability to have a career where you're just giving back, right? Very common for an ex-pro athlete, by the way, to fall into a bit of a depressed state, if not depression. Everyone, frankly, if you were to leave a career like that, you'd have some challenge. Like, think of it this way. Ultimately, what people want is love, right? Road Dogg, me, you, and maybe like famous actors, entertainers, magicians, I don't know, comedians. Like, I've coached some famous folks, and at the start of their career, they work so hard to be known, to be significant, to be wanted, to get the big role without having to audition, right? Or to play on the power play, to be the starting quarterback, on the poster, get their own baseball card. What they really wanted was love and connection, right? They wanted to be wanted. They wanted to be needed. They wanted to be accepted, right? Like, we're all just little kids underneath the meat sandwich that they're, the meat, whatever the meat costume we're wearing, right? But now that they've made it, people will stop. Okay, so now they're famous and they make it, and they're the starting quarterback. They're they're the leading role in the movie. People stop them on the street. They walk up to their table, literally when they're eating with their family, and interrupt them. And they want a picture. They want their time. They really want their attention, right? But there's no connection whatsoever. It's intrusive, disrespectful. It's hurtful, right? They got exactly what they wanted, and then it sucks, right? They just, like, Bieber, Macaulay Culkin, Corey Feldman, I don't know, Drew Barrymore back in the day as a young teenager. The list is a long and distinguished one of, like, very depressed, famous and rich people. They wanted love and connection, and they got the paparazzi, following them to Starbucks, thank you very much, in the morning with no makeup on, right? So they have to wear a hat everywhere, and they got to leave their own house through the back door, right? Like, talked about distance a lot in the past. Like, you're playing football and your best friend is in row 3 and you're on the sidelines. There's just feet between you, but there might as well be a million miles of distance, if you know what I mean, right? Like, that's like distance, and not everybody is comfortable with it. The more, I don't know, Michael Jordan, the more unique, famous, and in many cases rich, like, the more separated that you are, right? And that's the opposite, by the way, of love and connection, which is what everybody is craving, right? The most successful of the successful, craving love. And Michael Jordan, if you watched The Last Dance, the guy spent half his time in the damn hotel room smoking cigars by himself, right? And it was no different from Madonna and Justin Bieber. As you listen to this, he's probably hiding something. You think he's happy with that? And then it gets worse, by the way. So now they put you up on the pedestal, but then what do? They want to tear you down, and often the same ones, right? Because the fans don't feel good about themselves. So it's easier to bring somebody else down than to rise up themselves. And of course, I could go deep on that one. I assume we're all coaches. You kind of get it. But, you wonder why Robin Williams, Chris Farley, John Belushi, Elvis Presley, the Kurt Cobain, they hit the drugs and alcohol and in many cases kill themselves, right? So if that's the problem, right, like, what's the solution? Like, how do you help them? How do you help your spouse more realistically, your children, let's say your coaching clients? You need to not push your significance on them, right, as the business leader or the one that's super smart with the education. You need to work out what is significant about them and honor it, right? Bring what is important out in them, right? Like, it's a superpower, frankly. Like, okay, instead of walking up to the famous person, okay, so we walk into the restaurant and Leonardo DiCaprio's there, right? Instead of going up and, oh my God, can I take a picture, and bothering him, say, Leonardo, look, I'm so sorry to interrupt you. The role that you played in that movie, the Titanic, it moved me on a level that I could never put words to. And I just wanted to honor your gift, your genius, your amazing abilities. And I just want to say thank you for being so vulnerable and, making my life better. Thank you. You know what I mean? Like, I don't know. I don't know if that's any good, but, like, would you actually say that to Leonardo? But no doubt you, like, go to him and say, thank you, and you're amazing, as opposed to, add to his life, as opposed to take it away, right? So, like, when you're sitting with a prospective coaching client, so let's dummy this down. Right? It's not Leonardo DiCaprio, but it's like a business owner. You want to build rapport in record time. What I do is I always find a way to do two things. I want to relate, Oh, you live in the country. I grew up in the country. Oh, you've got an 8-year-old daughter. I've got an 8-year-old daughter. Oh, your grandma lived to be, over 100. So did mine. Right. So I want to relate genuinely. And then I want to compliment them most importantly, but in a genuine way. Right. Like again, adding to their life. It's a sales hack on steroids. Find something you can compliment. And remember, people buy off people they like. And then people like people that make them feel empowered, right? So like empower them. And if they don't buy, you made them feel amazing. And you know that saying, they'll never forget how you made them feel, right? So like I'm sitting with a business owner and I'm like, Road Dog, what you've built is something really special here. Your staff, I spoke to a couple of your staff at the front that I really respect the way that, they speak of, like, they really respect you. And I respect the fact that you've built a relationship that's so strong with them. You clearly really care about them. And I can see that they care about you and you all care about the business. That's awesome. And, wow. I met your daughter up the front. I met your front up the front. What? I can see that photo. What a beautiful family you have. Congrats on being such a great family, man. Whatever, but you're finding something genuine. And if you walk into somebody's office, you got to turn your spidey senses on and looking for that kind of stuff. Like what visually can you have a look at, like as a representation, if that makes sense? Like they got family photos up. There's a good chance that's what they want to talk about. If they've got a young daughter and there's like a crayon drawing, talk about that. There's not things in their office, and if it's Zoom, look behind them. And if there's anything there, right? Like it's, and by the way, what they're wearing. That sort of stuff. So I don't know, but you got to be genuine here, okay? Otherwise, you're a bit of an ass. But go to their website, go to their LinkedIn profile, gather some information. And by the way, this is hard. Think of what I said about Warren Buffett earlier. Everybody's going to call you lucky when you sign the $50,000 coaching client, but what they don't see is how much work you put into it. Whereas the coach that doesn't have a massive amount of success will tell me, "Oh no, it's all the same thing. I don't need to do any research. I've worked with chiropractors in the past. I know exactly what they need to do." And what I would say to that is that it's almost like a form of disrespect to the business owner, right? So I don't know. The more homework you do, the better you'll be able to do that. You tell me. But the same way you walk up to Leonardo DiCaprio and it's like, what could you give to him as opposed to what he could give to you, like a photo and a shake of the hand and his attention, which is what people really want. Think of what you could give. And maybe what you give him is bloody his own peace and quiet and leave the guy alone. That's what he'd really appreciate. But anyways, and also a hack like on getting JVs, the same approach. Like I've had accountants that they've partnered with me and they would just tell me they were adamant. They are not recommending anybody. They're not partnering with anybody. They're not letting any clients or any business coach, quote unquote, at their clients. And I got them to do deals, and it just psychology 101. I made them feel like a rock star, not as a form of manipulation, because I like doing it. I tapped into their fundamental need to feel important, wanted, loved, valued. And it worked like magic. The same way that I'd walk up to Leonardo DiCaprio or leave him the hell alone, it come from the same place, right? And it's like Road Dog, we all, like on our Facebook feed, where somebody's saying like, "I'm right, you're wrong." They're just feeding their own ego. We all want COVID to go away and want everyone to be safe and healthy. That's what people want, whether you're pro or anti anything. And that's what you really want. And same with gun laws, right? We want our families and our children to be protected. But these folks make the other side evil, right? When really we've got the same mission, the same goal, right? Like when you operate at a slightly higher level, so I'll call that using mental models, you could just see the ego-driven patheticness. I don't want to be too harsh, right, of it all, but not to say I'm not for having opinions, right? You absolutely should have your opinion. You should bloody stand for it. But standing for something doesn't make the other side evil. Right? It's just an uneducated jackass hell-bent on hearing themselves talk and unwilling to listen. Biggest mistake they're making is trying to get rather than give. Go back to Leonardo DiCaprio example. Like they're trying to get their ego satisfied or their significance, right? And that's the way that they're approaching it. Like it's the saying, I can explain it to you, but I can't understand it for you, right? Like, I don't know, a little bit, ego is about who's right and truth is about what's right. Go to first, if you like what I just said, go to First Principles. First Principles is about, it's a chef and a cook, right? Like a cook will go off the recipe and only improve it. A chef will start with raw ingredients and create the recipe. So there you go, Shoots. That's my little bit of a rabbit hole there, I think. I can't remember where we started, but what do you think?
Well, you know all about rabbit holes. I just want to add on to that. I believe the saying actually goes, people won't remember what you said, but they'll remember how you made them feel.
Yeah.
And I want to put just a word of caution out there too. It goes the other way as well. If you make them feel bad, if you make them feel less than, they're going to remember you. And that's just how it goes. And they're not going to want to be friendly with you going forward. And you have to remember, because we always talk about the positive side, but you're talking about, I don't care what your stance on it, go one level deeper and try and connect and relate with somebody, but also realize that if you're too much for somebody, like, be prepared to have them out of your life, because it's just, and I know that, like, there's actually somebody that we know in common, locally here, bud, that the way that person made me feel once, I have zero interest and or desire to ever want to hang out with that person ever again. Yeah. But that's just how it is. So, and remember that. But on the other end, hey, you know what? You don't have to say the right thing all the time. Just make them feel good. So, it's sort of like, what do they say? Let's get them talking, and they'll leave that conversation going, that's the best conversation I ever had. It's like, well, they did all the talking. It's funny how that works, right?
Is a saying, Road Dog, your greatest weakness is your greatest strength turned up too loud. And that is the power, in my opinion, the power of that is insanity. Your greatest weakness is your greatest strength turned up too loud.
That's good. Look at that. That is quotable, KB, right there. Listen, big fella, can you, like, if you had to pick again, I love picking on the one thing because that is the title of your email stuff. What's the one thing from today, if you were to pick? Because I know I'd love to go down the JV conversation, but I know that that deserves almost a full episode. We could have a full episode just talk about joint venture partnerships. I think it deserves that. So if you had to pick one thing from today's episode that people can take and implement into their business and honestly their lives today, what do you think that would be?
You know what? I'm going to go to what you just said a minute ago, the quotable. You're great. So, being funny is, like your greatest, is up there with your greatest strength. When you go to be too funny, again, you can just go a little bit too far with it. When your greatest gift is that you really, really care about people. Again, you start sticking your nose where somebody just like, I just need, a little bit like we've all had that person that just cared a little bit too much, right? And it's like, just you concentrate on your stuff. I'll concentrate on my stuff. But it came from a really beautiful place, right? I'm going to say that just, be a little bit. So you're a really good salesperson. Again, you can just turn it up a little bit too loud. We've all seen that. So that's what I'm going to say, Shoots. Your greatest weakness is your greatest strength turned up too loud. And then what did I say also? Rather than be judgmental, be curious, right? Like, just, somebody's wronged you, you know what I mean? But they didn't mean to wrong you. Generally speaking, people are beautiful. And they really, including, folks behind bars and have done horrific things. Like, generally speaking, people are really, really kind and just want the best for themselves and for you and for their families. So think about that. Where you would normally be judgmental, I want you to try and replace curiosity. I'm going to go to the gym, right? Like, a little bit better, a little bit better, a little bit better, a little bit better, a little bit better over time. And I feel like that might be good for you. But more than anything, look, you're a business coach looking to jack it up, make six figures, multiple six figures, make stuff happen. Like the end. Just make things happen, and 20 times the effort, 20 times the 20 times the goal, 20 times the action, and that you got 400 times the opportunities and the action coming your way, and then people are going to refer to you as lucky. So that's what I'm going to say there, Shoots, in closing. What do you think?
Man, we could go into a whole. We'll just blend this into hour 2 of the psychology broadcast with Karl and Christian. Here it is. Like we could do this whole thing. Anyways, I'm not going to go there. Hey, listen, everybody. Thanks for tuning into another episode of Business Coaching Secrets with the man, the myth, the legend, King Karl. And if you're not on the inside getting access to the pre-show, which is a real shame, I might add, or you aren't getting Karl's daily emails, again, why aren't you doing that? Or you just want more information on how to build your coaching company, visit focused.com and subscribe today. Also, if you enjoyed the podcast, please share with a fellow coach or someone you think might make a great coach. Someone that's a great salesperson, highly motivated type. And of course, we'd appreciate it if you'd rate this episode, as we know that iTunes and Spotify give an insane amount of weight towards reviews. So please, please, please leave us a review if you like what you heard. And that's it for another week, folks. Remember, progress equals happiness. Take care, everybody. We'll see you in the next episode.
Karl Bryan built Profit Acceleration Software 2.0 to train business coaches how to find any small business owner more than $100,000 in 45 minutes without them spending an extra dollar on marketing or advertising. This becomes a business coach's superpower. So as a business coach, you'll never again have to worry about working with business owners that can't afford your high-end coaching fees. Check us out at focused.com.